we're on.
We're on.
So welcome to Rick's Corner. I have a very interesting guest, Vinny Cecere, who, my God, he is so talented. He's done so many things that I'm not sure where to begin, but he holds a lot of titles in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and
Japanese Jiu-Jitsu.
Japanese Jiu-Jitsu.
Yes.
Why did I think it was Brazilian?
I don't know.
Didn't you tell me that?
No.
Okay, Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, I'm sorry. And other forms of martial arts as well, right?
I'm a Japanese Jiu-Jitsu guy. That's all I claim to be.
That's it, huh?
Correct.
And it's kind of like the all-around Jiu-Jitsu, isn't it? I mean, it has its...
Well, because, you know, Japanese Jiu-Jitsu is truly the mother art.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, in America, they say it's the Kempo are the hands of Jiu-Jitsu, and Judo are the takedown and the throws of Jiu-Jitsu, and a lot of the grappling stuff, obviously, everybody knows as Jiu-Jitsu. What they don't know about is a lot of the other things that Jiu-Jitsu is. They only consider it, not only, but practitioners. We know that there's two forms of prominent Jiu-Jitsu. One is Japanese, the mother, and one is the more Brazilian, which everyone knows affiliated with MMA.
Right, and that was a question of mine. I watch the UFC, I watch the MMA, and you see a lot of boxing, you see a lot of grappling, and you see some Jiu-Jitsu, but with what you know, and I've seen you in action, why don't you see more of that within the guys that do that? I mean, it's a great art form.
But everything that we do is illegal in the MMA.
Is that why?
Yeah, I mean, we work with law enforcement, military personnel, and self-defense bodyguards, guys who are doing protection services.
Right.
The things that we are doing is designed to break or shatter a joint, as opposed to making someone tap.
I see. Makes sense to me.
Right.
There was a show a few years back called The Human Weapon.
Yes.
One of my favorite shows.
Correct.
The guys traveled around. I taped every one of them. I was hoping for more series out of that, but that I learned a lot just by watching that. As a wrestler and using wrestling holds and incorporating it with jiu-jitsu and things like that, it was limitless what you could do.
I think the truest definition of jiu-jitsu is someone that can translate from one lock to another, or move from a system or style endlessly and repetitively without hesitation.
And incorporate all of them together.
Correct.
Because I came to one of your classes with Joe Penny.
Yes.
Remember
that? That's right. Oh, yeah, Joe. Yeah.
And I found it fascinating, and I had asked you, I said, do I have to forget all I know about wrestling? You said, no, you just add on to what you already know and build it into something.
Right.
So I just thought that was fascinating. But you started, we talked about this because you're in good shape, and you've always, you started as a bodybuilder.
I started at 17 with a makeshift Solaflex in the basement in Astoria, Queens.
Solaflex, I forgot that name.
Well, my cousin Tony, he wouldn't buy one. He thought they were overrated and they cost too much, so he stole the schematic to one and went out and built it out of steel.
That's something I would do.
And made it, yeah.
I'm cheap.
Made
I don't
it
want
in
to
the
spend
basement.
money.
Yeah.
Well, okay, with bodybuilding, you got in really good shape and developed a good body. Did
Yes.
you ever think about competing in bodybuilding?
I did compete.
Oh, you did?
I competed in the Mr. Florida and the Mr. Hollywood. There were 3 shows in 2 days, and I did all 3 shows.
How'd you do?
Terrible. I did. If you don't come in the top 3, you're in my opinion, you know, you did terrible. But you know, I did it for all the wrong reasons, which is probably why. Number one, being young and Italian, some guy said to me, you know, everybody can be in the gym and lift, but only few people can be bodybuilders and have the guts to get up there. That was enough to get me to go, oh, really? Okay, I'm going to compete against you in the next show.
Yeah.
And I should have had 12 weeks out. I started 8 weeks out, which already put you 4 weeks off, as we know now.
Of course.
Big mistake.
Yeah.
Second thing is, I really didn't enjoy the process of competing in it. I did it in 1988.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't like the putting the weight on and the dieting and then staying under 5% all the way through, and, you know, then carbo loading before the show. I just didn't. For me, you really have to love the process to do it.
Well, it's a lifestyle. Back when I was doing it in the 60s and 70s, and you viewers know about this, that's the old school, the golden era of bodybuilding. It became a lifestyle. There wasn't the off-season, on-season where you bulk up, you trim down, you bulk up. You stay in good shape year-round.
Right.
And I would be on a high-protein, low-carb. My mom would invite me for dinner. I had a very Jewish mother that had to have the noodles and the gefilte fish and the kugel, and you got to have this. She says, I made it with non-fat milk. Mom, non-fat milk has more carbs than regular milk, so I can't have it. You know, but it was a lifestyle, and I liked it. But competing in bodybuilding to me was like, you win a trophy, okay, you might take first, second, or third, whatever. The trophy sits on the wall, and that's the end of it. With going into pro wrestling, I was able to make money with my body because it was viewable on TV. People saw it, and then I got movie work out of it. And it takes you into a more creative field. You understand what I mean? Because you're the same way.
Surely.
So you were into bodybuilding, and then you got into martial arts. What decided that?
I actually saw someone get stabbed in front of me, and I was armed, and I had no idea what to do. And all of my bodyguard bouncers knew nothing of what to do. They were
You were
just
working as a
big
bouncer at
guys.
that time?
I owned the club.
Oh, I see.
And some guy came in and stabbed a band leader. A couple guys from Brooklyn stabbed a band leader.
Yeah.
And I remember it being in very slow motion, but in any event, it was a situation I didn't like to be in, and I realized it was something that if I was ever in that situation, I have to be able to deal with something like that.
Right.
So the very next day, I went out looking for martial arts.
And you started studying that.
Yeah, I think that everyone knows when you know, the art picks you, you don't really pick the art. And jiu-jitsu picked me. I have studied different arts, but I don't consider myself a practitioner of them because they're not my art of primary choice. Okay. Japanese jiu-jitsu, to me, fit my spirit, my way of moving. Aikido was too slow for me. It's wonderful, but it also comes from Japanese jiu-jitsu, so you already have the Aiki in it. Now, Aiki jiu-jitsu, which is a cross of both, the Aikido and the jiu-jitsu, that's very cool. That's cool as well.
Do you think that the commitment to bodybuilding and weightlifting and increasing your strength and knowing about diet and all that helped it?
I think it helped me a lot because I didn't have a lot of injuries other guys had. Other guys were getting shoulder injuries and they were getting wrist injuries. Right. We do kubitori, a Japanese finger lock technique. A lot of guys getting a lot of different forearm injuries, flexor and abductor injuries, of which I didn't get from doing a lot of wrist curls and weightlifting and a lot of consistent putting weight on. But I did remember from bodybuilding that we could never build our wrists with weights, but what I learned in jiu-jitsu is you can actually expand the diameter of your wrist by stretching.
Stretching's a good thing for everything. Yeah. I should do more of it. I'm so guilty of not doing it, and then I get muscle spasms, and the muscle needs to be stretched out in order to grow on top of that. Wrist curls really build the forearms. You're right, they do nothing for the wrist themselves. It's amazing. The martial arts had led you into doing films. Yes. And working with the police department.
Two trees.
There are two trees, but let's hear about both of them because they're interesting. I like this.
Actually, I started acting at 17. I did Porky's.
I remember Porky's.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Sure.
I was just an extra in Porky's. Then I went in Porky's 2.
Yeah.
I did a bunch of Florida movies: Night in Heaven, Spring Break, Beach, and then went to Beach Street, New York, and. God, I don't want to tell you every low budget.
Doesn't matter. We all did low budget. It doesn't matter.
But in any event, I started at 17 doing films. But as far as the martial arts, after the club, I was in my early 20s when I got into that. Now, the reason when I came to California and I made the choice, that's it, we're going to go to Hollywood. My wife and I, we loaded up the truck and that's it, moved to Beverly, as they say. And when I got here, I realized that our art form of jiu-jitsu, wasn't prominent. Thus, I found a new niche to use it in, which started to be with law enforcement.
Okay.
So I came out and got into Dragon Fest.
Sure.
The first few years, that's where I met Sensei Gene and Benny the first time.
Sure.
And I went out.
Which they don't have anymore.
No, I think that Dragon Fest 9 was the last one, and I think everybody boycotted it.
I remember you came to my table and you put Darren McBee in the thumb lock with 3 guys.
I have the picture. The dude with the long blonde hair, your friend.
Yeah,
the big guy. I have the picture.
Yep.
But after Dragon Fest, I started to get some people approach me. I went to a Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. I did something for their tactics, and then I connected with a captain from LAPD, and I started moving in those circles.
Oh, that's great.
My guys were already at Fort Bragg working with Special Forces, Grandmaster Phil Chinique and Grandmaster Leo Velasquez, and I got attached to those guys. They brought me in. I started working with military, and then I got some of my own military guys out here that I work with, which are from Pendleton and the Air Force guys.
I actually saw you one day at the park on Moore Park and Laurel with a group on the grass training them.
Right.
Am I right?
Yes, you were. That's where I got started.
Oh, there's many. He's on the grass with the whole group.
Yeah.
He had about 6, 7 guys out there.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, I want to go join. I want to do that. That looks like fun. In fact, it's I'd love to do that. If I didn't have these injuries, and I don't know if they can hurt me or not, maybe I can do limited stuff. I would do it. I would do it.
I think that there's no limitation to what you can do or not do with jiu-jitsu.
I just take a lot of ibuprofen.
Oh, I mean, it's just a lot more than joint locks that incorporate it. You know, they do. You know, there's tremendous amount of things to do other than just joint locks in jiu-jitsu. I mean,
then I should commit myself to you. I think I should make a commitment to come train with you.
I would love to have you come and train with us.
Me too. Now, okay, So you did those two, and you did movies, and then you did something completely opposite, which is something I always want to do. You did stand-up comedy.
Yes.
I love that.
I started doing stand-up comedy again as a kid. I got blown out on Star Search, as I was telling you a while back.
Yeah.
So I got a little tainted towards it, and I walked away from the stage for about 10 years, something you shouldn't do if you're a professional or committed to anything, but I did. And when I went back to it, when I came out to California in 2000, I got passed at the Comedy Store, and I've been a regular Comedy Store, Laugh Factory, and many of the other show
And you're
clubs.
You're gonna wear an initial ring with the initials on it, right? Don't do that if you're gonna be a criminal. Trust, this is criminal 101, pal. Trust me, okay? I once punched a guy in the forehead. I left VC in his forehead. They picked me out right in the lineup. I said it wasn't me.
really good at it. And you guys will see a few clips here because you're very polished.
Thank you.
I mean, very polished. I'm just impressed with everything I've seen so far. Now, okay, so we've got bodybuilding, we've got jiu-jitsu, we've got comedy, acting, and now we've got something else that you're doing called The Bouncer,
Yes.
which you just showed me a trailer on. Blew me away. It's absolutely cast perfect. You're perfect for it. The storyline is perfect. The action's perfect, and I'm dying to go see this damn thing. So let's talk a little bit about The Bouncer for a minute.
Okay. The Bouncer is something that I had a story on that I created. Actually, it started at Paramount. They were doing the show Weeds.
Mm-hmm.
And I was there for a commercial for Renault. And in a wardrobe fitting, Romany Malco, who's a black guy on Weeds,
Mm-hmm.
he had a couple of his bodyguards, and through Dr. Powell and the Sanukas guys, they asked me if I could show them some martial arts stuff. So I started dropping these big 500-pound bodyguards, and some guy comes over to me and says, "What is that?" I said, "It's Japanese jiu-jitsu." He says, "Do you have a script on that? Anything, you know, for what are you doing here?" I said, "I'm an actor." And he asked me if I had a script. I said, "Sure, I got a script." Of course you don't have one, but yeah,
No,
I got it.
you're going to get
It's
one
in the
real
car.
quick, yeah.
So he said, "Can you get it to me?" And I said, "Okay." I took his card and I left. It ended up being the director of operations for Showtime. So I didn't have a writer. I called back home. They hooked me up with John Murray, Bill Murray's kid brother Johnny, who's written for SNL.
Mm-hmm.
And Johnny and I got together and we cooperated and we came up with a script.